Hello, and welcome to another lovely exercise video. Today you're going to be animating some collage design frames that I made to illustrate 1 week in my life. So generally, I try to take a walk every day. It kind of helps me get out of my head, but it also somehow gives me the perspective to reflect on what's going on for myself. Anyway, for 1 week during the making of this class, I took photos of things that I saw during my daily walk, and I also tried to take an honest snapshot of where I was in my own head. And then in the evenings, I sat down at my desk and put it all together the best that I could into these collages. Now, just to give you a little bit of a background, I've been into making collages since I was in college, and I've been obsessed with animating collage for almost a decade. It all started coming together for me when I made this piece in 2016 called Mun After Losing. This is only about 30 seconds long, so check this out. Yeah, so I still really like the ambiance that I created in that piece. Now I should mention that the audio track for that was provided by Wesley Slover at Sanctus. Also, check it out. The original collage that I made has been hanging right here the whole time. Yeah, so more recently I animated a collage called Glow, which was designed by an artist named Aaron Marin. Now I should mention that the music for this piece was made by Francis Harris. Also, I should point out that it's full of match cut transitions. Alright, so that's enough about me. Now let's check out the shots that you're going to be animating for your homework.
Like I said, there's one for every day of the week. And here's Sunday. I'm a traditionalist, so I'm starting with Sunday. And I really love this one as well. Okay, so here's Sunday. And then we've got Monday, which is obviously a tougher day, right? Tuesday was definitely an odd day. And then Wednesday. I think this might be my favorite of them all, maybe. And then I've got Thursday here and Friday. It looks like I was kind of ambivalent heading into the weekend. And then finally, we've got Saturday, okay, which is a work in progress. And I also really love this collage as well. Cool. Oh, and I made a title page here as well, just in case anyone wants to take that on as part of the project.
Now, in case it wasn't clear from the lesson video, the main point of this project is for you to make match cut transitions between the different shots. I'm really hoping that you can dig in and practice these a bunch and get really comfortable with them. I'm also encouraging you to make them your own for sure by putting your own unique twists on them. Now, as with all of the exercises in this class, there are different levels of time that you can spend on this. The quickest or easy version is to make 3 transitions, and you can pick whichever 4 shots you like best. There's also a medium version that you can try, which would be to make 5 transitions. In my mind, this would start with the title shot and then go Monday through Friday. The hard version is to start with the title and then animate every shot, every day of the week plus Saturday and Sunday. That would be 7 transitions. Now, just to make this a little bit more fun, we have some edited music tracks for you to work with. Let's jump into After Effects so I can explain more about those.
Cool, so now I just need to mention up top that we are not giving you an After Effects project for this, okay? We're just giving you the music and the PSDs and some JPEGs, and it's gonna be up to you to import all of that and put it all together here in After Effects, okay? Just saying. So here is a music folder, and in here you can kind of see that there are 3 basic music tracks. There's an A, a B, and a C. And then there are 3 basic lengths that those tracks come in, okay? So something around 5 or 6 seconds long, like this, this, and this, okay? One that's around 10 seconds long, like this, and this, okay? Ones that are around 15 seconds long, like this, and this. So I kind of figure that you're gonna need about 2 seconds per shot. That's what I did in the lesson video, And so that's something like 15 frames in and 15 frames out, just say that's a second. And then you'd have essentially like a second in the middle for people to actually like look at the imagery, okay? Now you're definitely gonna wanna make an animatic first using the JPEGs that we've provided. If you feel comfortable doing that in Premiere, you probably should, okay? But you can also do it directly in After Effects if you're okay with that. So for example, I've made some quick animatics just to show you how I would do this, right? So here's the short version, and I've used this one, Days of the Week B, 7 seconds, okay? And I put 4 shots in, so they're basically, you know, you'd have 3 transitions. So check this out. Right on. I should probably mention that this one here is like pretty short. It's like 5 seconds long. So possibly if you do that one, you should only have like maybe 3 shots. So you're only really doing 2 transitions. I don't know. That one's very short, okay? So I also put one together for the medium version, and I used the C track for this, Days of the Week C, 11 seconds. And on this one, you know, here, I'll show it to you first, and then I can talk about what I did. Right? So, you know, basically what I did on this one is like, I cut it like a little bit more to the rhythm. Okay, so I figured that we really wouldn't need to transition into this shot. We could just sort of start here. So I made the title shorter. Okay, so, and then basically I just went through and kind of audio scrubbed. You remember how to do that. Basically, you hold down on Command. And then whenever there was like a nice cut point, I used that as a good cut. You know, you kind of, for example, in this middle one, I left it longer because it sort of fit the phrase of the music there. Here, listen to this again. Da 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 dee 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 da 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 right? Okay, so yeah, I sort of let the music inform where we're gonna cut a little bit. And I also did that with the long version, okay, so check this out as well. So for this I used Days of the Week A, 16 seconds, all right, and I used all of the shots in here. Again, I used the title at the start and I made this one a little bit shorter. Right on. So now one thing I definitely want to point out is that even though I worked with a loop in the lesson, these are not meant to loop. So definitely don't worry about that. Okay, just go ahead and render them out from start to finish. Now, no matter which length or track or version you want to do, if you're working in After Effects, here's kind of a cool little trick to get started, right? So I'm going to take like a random track like this one, all right? And here I'm just going to make a comp and I'm just going to throw this track in there real quick, all right? So here you go. What you want to do is kind of like go to the end of the track, or even better, here, go down here to the waveform monitor. We looked at this in week 2, I guess, and you just kind of want to roll through and make sure, like figure out where the track really ends, like where you'd want it to be over, all right? So a lot of the tracks actually kind of like hit a point right near the end and then kind of just drift off. So it's kind of a question like where you want this to cut. So in this case, let me just set some my work area around the end here, and let's just play this down. All right, so in this case, I'd probably want the whole thing, all right? So never mind about that. But a bunch of them, the length of the track is actually not quite accurate, and the music actually ends a little bit before that. So just, you know, look at the waveform monitor. In any case, figure out where you want this to end, all right? And here's the little trick that I was talking about. Like, just say we want this to end right at the end here, okay? So right over here, underneath this time code indicator, okay, is this little number here. In this case, it says 00493. Now, we haven't talked about this, but that is the frame count, okay? So right now, my current time indicator is at frame 493, okay? So what we can do is open our calculator and then just get in here and type 493, okay? And then in this long version, I have 7 days of the week plus a title. So what I would do is divide this by 8, okay? And right now we can see that this says 61 or 62, right? So let's just roll that down to 61, okay? Go back here into After Effects, and all you'd have to do is take like all of your images, like all these, and go to frame 62, okay? So you can look down here again, go frame by frame till we get to, was it 62? 61 actually, okay? And then trim this here. And then here's a really good trick. If I put these in the order that I want, okay, like this, move this up to the top, the title, okay, and then just say I want to start on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, great. So here's a really cool little trick. Now, if I select these top to bottom like this, okay, I can go here and right click on those and then go to Keyframe Assistant and Sequence Layers, right? Then it's gonna ask me if I want them to overlap at all, which I do not in this case, great? And I'm gonna hit OK, right? And then it'll sequence them out so that it takes the, first one and lays it out this way, the second one, and so on and so forth, okay? And look, we were really close. So in some sense, all you'd have to do is like roll this back here, and now check this out, what we just did that way. Right? So it's not perfect by any means, but that's a really good start. I think you could start there and then just kind of go through and figure out better cut points for some of these things, and you'd have a really sweet animatic.
Once you've made your animatic and you're super happy with it, go ahead and pull in the PSDs that you'll be using and swap those in for the JPEGs. And definitely don't forget to save your project before you start animating it.
Yeah, so for example, I have the medium animatic that I just showed you, right? And I imported all of the PSDs and laid them out in time to the length of those JPEGs, okay? And once I've done that, I can now just go through here and delete all those JPEGs, right? And now I have my main comp. Now, once you've done that, you'll want to prep all of the comps for animation before you begin. Now, of course, it's super helpful if you have a sense of how you want the transitions to animate ahead of time, okay? Now, I definitely suggest that you try position, scale, and rotation transitions. And remember, the position can mean up and down as well as right and left. Okay, so in order to prep these pre-comps, okay, you're just going to want to get in here and do the things that I did in the lesson, okay? So like, put the layers in the right order, break down the type like this, okay, into shape layers, maybe color code some of your layers so it makes more sense to you, and pretty much anything else that you want to do just to make it easier for you to animate. I do kind of want to point out here that, there are some things that you're going to want to kind of remake in After Effects, not just the type. So for example, I just noticed that this here is one layer that I made in Photoshop, okay? So you're going to want to kind of like choose your ellipse tool, like this, like this, and kind of make, an ellipse that's the same size as these. You can choose the right fill color for those. And then I think what you're gonna wanna do is like make your own ellipses for these kind of elements and then delete this, all right? I think you'll just want the animation possibilities that come with shape layers. Cool, I'm just gonna undo that. Okay, and once you've done all that, basically then it's time to animate those sweet, sweet transitions. And this is really the point of the exercise, so you definitely want to spend your time there. Try like faster or slower transitions, maybe with staggered keyframes or not staggered keyframes. Maybe try mixing like rotation into position or scale for emphasis, like I did in the lesson, okay? Also, go ahead and try different ease intensities too. In the lesson, I kind of just cranked all the handles to 100%, but you might try something a little bit subtler than that. At least see what you like best.
Once you're done with all of the transitions, go ahead and add some little jitters or pops of life into the collages between those transitions. Keep it subtle, but not too subtle. I think after watching me animate the A to B transition in the lesson, you're going to have a really good sense of how to do all of these things. And hopefully you can have fun with it and be super creative. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you make with this, so thank you so much.
What happens now?